Hi. So, a very warm welcome to those of you who are joining live or whether you're watching the replay. Get some water. I just got my water because I'll be speaking for a while at a stretch, and I would love participation from people who are watching. Whether you have questions, comments, or anything to add, um, I'm more than happy to check in with you and see where you're at in terms of the questions as well as the healing that you're on. So let me know which part of the world, which corner of the world you're joining in from in the chat, whether you're watching this on replay or whether you're watching live. Just as I went live, I started hearing music in the background, because it's festive season and there's always some festival or party or exhibition going on, which is going on actually near my house. So, um, yeah, it had to start around the time I had to start. But anyway, that's good because we're going to have some background party music while we are doing this live before I get started. So, yeah, I'll drink some more water and then we'll get started and we'll also wait for some other people to join in. Playing Justin Bieber. I think so. Okay, so the topic of this video was the things that I wish I had not done. I have identified, of course, there are many things because it's a several decades journey, and there are many things I wish I hadn't done, but I have identified three of them, and let me know if you can resonate or relate to any of these mistakes, or whether it's something that you have done but you didn't ever think of it as a mistake. Because the thing is that we often do things because we have conviction, because it's the right thing, or because that's what we are guided at that moment towards. But then it's only in hindsight after a long time that we realize that I wish we hadn't done that. So these three things I feel delayed my healing process. And I wish I had known them earlier because there was not much information when I got diagnosed with psoriasis. And even now, there's not much information except for internet and for people who are here, like sharing their personal journeys. Because psoriasis is something that the Western world of medicine, which is where we get most of our research, at least the ones that I follow most of our research from, and Western media like YouTube, for example, is the Western world is not very like, according to them, they don't have a cure. So I guess there's not much going on there except for when I was diagnosed, there used to be all this talk about therapy, light therapy, which was also not accessible here. And I don't think that's something that made sense to me, because the whole idea of putting light on your body, targeting it, it felt very unnatural. I thought that the natural sunlight itself would do so. I would always notice that even with my own skin during summer, the flakes would fall off faster and so on. So I never opted for that. And I think somewhere down the line, because I started my journey for healing with allopathy, Western medicine, and they tell you upfront that it's not curable, I probably didn't have much hope, or I don't know. I don't know why I never tried light therapy. Um, but that's pretty much what the Western world of medicine has in terms of what, like, apart from the creams and steroids. So which really help in suppressing the immune system. And then when you go off the medicines, that has been the experience of many people, they find that it comes back. It goes away and then it comes back. Okay. All right. Okay. I can hear the music, and it's slightly annoying me that they started around the time that I started. But I hope it doesn't bother me any longer. Okay. So, now coming to the topic of the things I wish I had not done. Number one is obviously worry. So, I wish I had not worried for myself or felt sorry for myself. So, I see them as two sides of the same coin, like being worried about my skin and how it looks and how it appears to people, slash feeling sorry for myself that I have this condition, and people look at me funny, or they ask me questions, or they, they think there's something wrong with my skin, they find it disgusting, all those things. I see them as two sides of the same coin, and I wish I had not worried or felt sorry for myself, because psoriasis is a psychosomatic condition, which means that internal stress and conflict, internal worry, gets reflected, is the cause of the condition, is the cause of psoriasis. So the more I worried, it means I was creating possibilities of more flares and triggering my skin more. And I didn't know at that time. I mean, I knew a little bit, but that was much later when I was reading all these things about stress. And then I realized, oh, how do I not stress? Because that's been my go to way of operating in life. It was very natural to me, like breathing. I didn't know what it would even mean to stress, to not stress. So I thought, I was stressed because of psoriasis, but then I didn't realize that it's because of my stress that I have been carrying for many years that it ultimately caused my skin to flare up and have psoriasis. So that's what a psychosomatic condition means. It's something that in your psyche, in your mind, eventually goes and manifests and appears in your body. And soma is another word for body. So, quite literally, it originates in your mind and then appears in your body. And by the way, this is the situation, this is the cause for all illnesses. I know that's not something we grew up hearing or knowing. We think it's some bacteria or virus, or if we catch a cold, it's because of some, you know, infection or anything for that matter. Because a mosquito bit us, we've got malaria or dengue. I know these are the causes, but if you, like like me, have spent some time, or you haven't, that's okay too. I also got to know all this recently, that even a cold actually is psychosomatic. That's from what I have seen. Usually, I with me and with others, when they have a cold, it's obviously because of season change. Around that time it happens. That's the commonality. Externally, that's the case. And then say people say, oh, it's because of the cold season or weather change that we are catching a cold. But what I've noticed with people is that, or me, is that usually when I have exerted myself a lot, and I've not given myself enough rest, then I have a cold. And any cold, or for that matter, usually happens, like it's normal to have it twice a year when the season changes, the weather changes. And I feel that's a way of the body resting. So people who have not been resting properly, or therefore they eventually become like not sleeping properly, not eating properly, not resting in general, overworking themselves with worry or work, they generally anyway have a weakened immunity system to begin with, and then they are more susceptible to cold. And that's nature's way of telling them that, hey, you should rest. So, and most people will, this by now, if you've ever had a cold, that no matter what medicines you take, and no matter how many gargles you do, cold takes its own time. um, Especially if you don't take rest, then it becomes longer, it delays the process, just like how I said the process that I did here. Oh, hi Vishnu, how are you? So nice to see you. Hi. So with a cold, um, what happens is that that's you have to take rest. So the longer you avoid taking rest, the longer the process becomes in your path to recovery. um, so I feel like a cold, a fever, these things which people again think it's because of some bacteria, virus, so on. Yes, that's the medical reason. For me, the psychosomatic, the mental reason for it is often what I have noticed is that these people have overworked themselves, overexerted themselves, and then it's just the body's way of saying, hey, rest, and then resetting the body. So an illness is really that. It's your body's way of communicating with you, um, asking you for attention. And actually, this is something that I have mentioned also in my program with the students. And Vishnu is a student of the first time I launched this program for helping people with psoriasis and eczema. Is and I mentioned this, that an illness really is a body's way of asking for attention and asking you to understand its language. So, uh, hi, Regal. Hi. Please let us know, all of you, which part of the world where you're joining in from. And like I have mentioned at the beginning of this live, and as I always mention, please let me know if you have any questions or comments. So I was talking about what is that I was talking about? Now, I also have this tendency of forgetting because I get carried away with my thoughts, tangents, or like the questions here. So if I ask you to remind me, please remind me. So yes, illness is really that, your body's way of asking you to pay attention, just like a child. When a child wants attention, they'll not often just say directly, hey, I want attention. I don't think many people really say that. Child or adults, they don't really go around saying, hey, I want attention. But then they express it through different ways. And with time we understand, okay, fine, like if you have, some people who have more people skills, or they have more understanding, over time you understand, okay, this person, if they stop talking, then they're sulking, they want attention. If a child is wanting a toy, I know most people think that, okay, fine, it's just the toy that we have to give them, and then they'll keep quiet. Or it's a particular food that they're wanting, like me, I want particular food. It's really at that point, if I deeply ask myself, what is it that I want, apart from the like immediate satisfaction of the particular dish that I'm wanting, it's often that I want um, attention. um, yeah, so it's always that. um, yeah, so an illness is just another way of the body having been deprived of what it needs, and it's asking for attention. And there are many many ways you can give it attention, and the common ways, of course: food, rest, sleep, exercise. These are very basic things that we take for granted when it comes to healing and our healing and a healing process. But these are very pivotal. And like I have mentioned to my students, and I am a big believer of fitness and all those things, be it mentally and physically, of course, that you can do, you cannot have one without the other. Like, you can have all the nice food in the world, but if you're not exercising, you're not sleeping on time, you're definitely, if you're not taking care of your mental health, then don't expect results to be, first of all, to even happen. And even if they happen, they might not be, most definitely will not be long lasting. So that was a very long tangent on point number one, or the wish number one thing that I wish I had done, which was feeling worried and feeling sorry for myself. And also, I think I want to speak a little bit about feeling sorry for myself. What I noticed is that since I've had it ever since I was a kid, mm, I got into this habit of feeling like a victim of my life. And then when I met my friend, who also was diagnosed when she was a child, I noticed that she also had that thing. And obviously, we, like, got along like a house on fire. I mean, in a good way, a house on fire. We, like, just initially, within the first 1 hour of us meeting each other ever in the for the first time in our lives, um, we just got along like a house on fire. And it's a lot because of our shared experiences, having had psoriasis from as a child, and then our school, our experiences within a family, our eating experiences, feeling of isolation while eating and dining with our families. Like, and she said it, she exactly used this term, I felt like an orphan. And I was like, yes, that's it, that's the word. Because I felt so seen and I felt so validated by what she said. And that is an experience I never could share with anyone else, because the other people I had met, um, not while I was undergoing treatment, like I had met in my own life, personal life, professional life, personal life and professional life. Yes, I know a colleague as well as someone else I met, a much older lady who had psoriasis. They never used these kind of words, or they didn't express it this way. So and one of them, the older lady, had it really like minimally, and she was least bothered about it, in the sense it was on her elbows and all, and she was very cool with it. Another girl, another colleague actually, the one who had it, it was, even she was a child, but we didn't get into depth talking about it. So anyway, I was talking with this friend of mine, and she used those words which um, validated me, and that I felt like we bonded on those topics, obviously. But I felt like at some point we had, uh, to some extent, glorified the victim side of being, having had that. And that is what I mean by feeling sorry for yourself, and that is something that I wish people wouldn't do, and I wish I hadn't done, because that identity of being a victim can extend, not can, will for sure, also trickle into other aspects of your life, professional life, relationships, work, career, everything that you care about will trickle into that. Because this is something that I say, and I don't know if I have said it here, but I do remember saying it in the program. Vish, if you're still watching, let me know. I said it in the program. How you do one thing is how you do everything. So if I'm being a victim when it comes to my health, my skin, my appearance, then I'm going to be a victim in other aspects of my life too, in overall life. So I uh, noticed that many years later, because I had been a victim so long in my head, and I felt like that got me attention. Again, remember, everything we do is for attention and validation, and that's not a bad thing. That's a human need. But it's just that we have to go about getting it in healthy ways and not from unhealthy ways, such as feeling like a victim. So um, I noticed that, and then because it had been my go-to way of operating in the world and thinking about myself, that I'm a victim of my circumstances and I have no agency or power over my life. What do victims do? They don't have agency over their life. They are victims. They are helpless. They're hapless, and they just take whatever life dishes out to them. And that's how I felt, because I really felt I had no control over the fact that I had been cursed with psoriasis. So that is something that I uh, recognized, and then it took a lot of time for me to be able to come out of that, because everything is like a wiring in a brain. Its identity is wired in our brain, and I also talk about this in details. So like, how building a road takes time, similarly destroying, digging it up and building another new road in its place also takes time. So yeah, that took a while. And so therefore, if you are someone who's watching this and who's been diagnosed recently, or you've not had it for a very long time, and you recognize some of the things or relate to some of the things that I'm saying, that's something that you can consider tweaking or changing or rewiring as soon as you can. And definitely easier said than done. I'm an example of that. It's an everyday process. Of course, there are days when I do fall back into that victim trap, feeling sorry for myself, not because of psoriasis, it could be anything else. But like I always say, I snap back out of it faster. So the goal is to eventually shorten the time period that you spend in these undesirable, not so great uh, phases. Okay, so now moving on to the second thing I wish I hadn't done, and that is um, known, first of all, that this is psychosomatic. I had no idea this was psychosomatic. There was not much literature also available as to the cause. In fact, I remember going to doctors, and my mom was obviously the first thing that people ask, especially when there is not much known about it. Even if it's known, people always ask if they get struck with disease or an not so, easily cured illness, is why me. And then after that, no, actually first you ask how, and then you ask why me. So since there was not much information about how, I remember one of the doctors had said that it could be genetic. I don't know which doctor, allopathy or homeopathy, I don't recall, but it's genetic. And oh yeah, they were asking me about my family history and all, and no one in my family history had psoriasis, so there was not much to go on. And then what do you do when you don't have answers from research doctors? Then you have to ask, they not have to, then the next question is why me. So that was by me. And then but we didn't have information about it being psychosomatic. Even now it's like, yes, I talk about it, and this is where most of whatever I do and my channel is about. But even then, this is not a widely known fact. Most people, again, when they go to doctors, they start with diet, they start with medicines, they start with intermittent fasting. That is not one of the points, but I want to talk about it maybe a little bit. Let's see about intermittent fasting and all that. That's one thing I wish I hadn't done. I'd really wrecked up my health and skin. But okay, let me get a sip of water. And while you're watching, as in when you are joining in, again, chime in with your questions and your thoughts and comments. Also, let me know how's winter, whichever part of the world you are in. If it's winter, then let me know how's that going for you in terms of just a general festive season. We are ending our year, and also in terms of your skin. Okay, so I was talking about it being not much research, not much conclusive answers about what is the cause of psoriasis. At that point, when I was diagnosed, the closest answer I got to it was genetic, but then there was no one in my family who had that. And yeah, and now we know, it's not we, not many people know. I know because of it's the reason that I mentioned. And um, that's something that, again, if you have been familiar with my work, then you probably know about it. But at the same time, this is not something which is a popular or commonly accepted um, cause of psoriasis. That is psychosomatic. That is psychosomatic, like your mind causes all your illnesses. So if I had known this earlier, the whole point of this is that if I had known this earlier, then I would have known that it's in my control. Because the worst thing that can happen, I felt at that point, or for that anything, that when something happens which is which is not favorable, unfavorable, undesirable, we want to know what caused it. Like, so for example, if you're driving on the road and we missed a light and we hit someone, then we're like, oh, okay, next time I will pay more attention. Or I was on the phone and I missed the signal and I hit someone or someone hit me, then I know next time I will not talk in the car. But if you don't know what caused it, then how on earth do you prevent it, right? But then if I had known that it was psychosomatic, and the reason why um, and I'm in control of it by being able to control my mind. I knew that stress was a triggering cause, but I didn't know that was the main cause, stress and anger. Then I would have made far more progress far sooner, instead of hopping from one doctor to another, which is my uh, third. I wish I hadn't done this, which is hopping from one doctor to another. Because most doctors, I mean, not most doctors, like the first few doctors that I went to, I don't remember exactly. They were obviously very famous, the top dermatologist of Kolkata. And I don't know what, obviously I think like my parents were speaking to him, my mom was speaking to him. I don't know what he said to her, but I know from the creams and all, first of all, it was such a hassle applying them, going to school covered in those thick creams on my scalp, on my body. It was just horrible. And not being able to, like have clean hair, because I would have those creams or whatever stuff he would give me overnight, and then scrubbing that out in the morning before school. Early morning school was not easy. So it was a hassle for me, my mom, and overall the unpleasantness of having a skin condition like that. So um, I remember not getting great results. Like it would go away, and then imagine like having pills and having things to do, which I don't know, a child shouldn't be doing at that age. It felt like an added responsibility. That, and then overall unpleasantness of having cream on your body all the times, like not like creams and lotions, but whatever, having to apply that in a hot weather. And then thirdly, when I would stop, then the results would also stop. So overall, all these three combinations, this whole unpleasant experience, made me want to switch to another form of treatment, which was homeopathy. I got good results initially, like I always mentioned. So that happened, and then I stopped getting results. I moved to Ayurveda. Then, so overall, it was a very, like, hopping from one type of treatment to another, um, only to have inconsistent results or even worse flare ups, and then thinking that, oh, this treatment made it worse, while not knowing that what was the underlying cause. So I think overall, not knowing what I got to know 2 years earlier has definitely significantly delayed the process. And it's only in once was told by my doctor on my face that anger is the only cause for this. And of course, like, he believes that refrigerated food should be avoided, so that's something that I avoid. But he said that all the medicines of the world cannot cure you if you cannot get rid of your anger. And I had already been in the process of dealing with that, because that was creating havoc in other aspects of my life too. um, like I said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So anger was really impacting all the other aspects of my life. And when I say anger, I know most people don't associate me with anger because I was not the kind of person who would probably maybe sometimes raise my voice or something like that, or lose my patience. But most importantly, my anger was in the form of holding grudges and resentments. So I would not communicate them, I would just hold them inside. And therefore, eventually, they came out in the form of scales. So if I had known all of this earlier, all is to say that if I had known all of this earlier, that it's not because of some medicines or the right medicine or the right doctor or the right treatment, I would have gotten to this faster. I would have started taking care of all this faster. Um, and I wouldn't have hopped from one type of treatment to another, wasting so much time and so much money, obviously. Um, and most importantly, more than the time and money, I think it's the feeling of helplessness is what I would have avoided, because I spent all those years feeling helpless. And that is, for me, according to me, one of the worst feelings ever. It's one thing to be, I think that's why I probably was angry, because this anger is like the more active and more empowered side of feeling helpless or sad. Since I was very sad and helpless, I didn't want to be helpless and sad, because that meant that I can't do anything about it. But being angry felt like a more empowered version. Do you see if that's making sense? Because actually, I mentioned this in one of the live master classes that I did, which was about finding out why you're inconsistent with your routines and your health results. Is because I feel, and I think that's where I mentioned it, that anger is really just like a more empowered or a more action oriented feeling of feeling sadness. So I was very sad about it, and I didn't want to feel sad for very long. And I thought, okay, fine, anger is more like a more proactive, makes you proactive, as in I was angry and therefore I was going about doing more things, and I was like trying to balance or trying to make up for the fact that I had such a big a loss or such a big minus in one part of my life. I was trying to make up for it in other aspects of my life, saying that, okay, fine, I'll do well or achieve well in this one thing, and so that I didn't have to look at this part or feel bad about it. So I think, yeah, I never thought about it this way for myself. But yeah, now that I'm talking about it, I realize it. um, I probably was feeling sad and helpless, but I didn't want to feel it, so I chose to feel angry and use that energy towards achieving and going forward in other aspects of my life. Because no matter what I did in other like for my health, it didn't seem to work out. And yeah, so I wish I had known all these three things. Okay, now let me see what you're saying. Okay, Vishnu, I'm reading your comment. I understand the first sentence, I don't follow the rest. um, you can always let me know what you mean. I wish and think you should do hand holding of sessions. So are you saying that you would like more one-to-one private sessions? Yeah, that's something that we can do if that's your question. I know you want detached because of your nature. I don't understand what that means, but it would make think a lot of other options. Not believe you and everyone think you're right. I didn't understand. Okay, Regal Rajan, if I'm pronouncing, if that's, let me know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I'm based in Auckland and summer has just begun. Okay. So you are that one person who's not experiencing winter. Okay. I'm excited for the sunshine over the next few months. It's true. Yeah. So when I used to be abroad, I used to get very like I obviously used to look forward to summer, something that I'd never looked forward to while I was in India. And I was like, oh my God, I've really become white. Because now I'm like, white people, they get so excited about summer. I never understood why, but I understood very quickly after living in France for a couple of months. Okay. So there's another thing that I wanted to um, talk about, and that came to my mind was about intermittent fasting. So I know this is a very common, not again, like very is very relative and subjective depending on which parts of the world and which corners of the internet you inhabit. I inhabit the health corner in terms of my orientation, my interest has always been fitness, and it has not because of psoriasis in general. Um, that's just my nature. I like doing sports. I like keeping fit as much as I can. So in these corners of the world, intermittent fasting has been a hot topic, a very raging topic. Everybody thinks that everyone should do it. So I did it too. I thought there was at one point I had put on weight, and I thought that would be a good way to lose weight as well as also cook less, because I was abroad and I was like, wow, wonderful. I have to cook one meal less. So I'd have to worry about one meal less, and I also get to lose weight. Wonderful. Great. I did that for many, many years. I would say from 2021. I started in 2020, didn't work out. I was too hungry and angry. I became hangry. But in 2021, I started and I continued up until last year. And then in that, I also threw in like a 36 dry fast without water. For Ekadashi, I had also made videos about it. And just around the time, the day I released the video, I happened to go to the doctor. And that day, my doctor was like, please stop. Please stop this fasting business. It's not suitable for you. So I know many people who have psoriasis or eczema or any health condition, they start off with intermittent fasting. But I am not sure, given my experience and given what my doctor has told me, I'm not sure that's the best thing to do for someone with psoriasis or eczema, considering you already have dry skin and then you are not giving it food or water or nourishment for, let's say, I don't know, how long do you do intermittent fasting for? 16 hours? Um, or in my case, it was 36 hours. So it makes your body internally drier. So I absolutely regret doing that. um, So I don't suggest that. I know many people who come to me, they have done all these diets. There was this person I met who has done raw diets, like they were on eating raw food. No, raw food, like raw food, and then intermittent fasting, and that person obviously was underweight. And then you start basically become weaker and start inviting other problems. And usually, and even with him, what I noticed was, and that's the case with many people, is that they give up on doctors and they take health into their own hands. By the way, this this finger is not painted because I had a band-aid on, so it's badminton season. And when I start playing badminton, for some reason this finger always gets hurt, and I had band-aid which came off, so this finger is without nail polish, in case you were ever wondering. But yeah, just looks super weird. I intended to paint it, but yeah, and it didn't get around to it. Okay. Yeah, so intermittent fasting. So when I met him, he was doing raw foods and intermittent fasting, or like a water fast once a week, which is a lot. A lot. I mean, says the person who was doing 36 hours dry fast, that is even without water. But no, no. Raw diet, no. I mean, see, like, uh, even if it gets you results initially, like which he did, obviously, he was in a better place earlier. He was not covered in scales or anything like that. The thing is that, A, it is making you drier inside, and it's making you weaker, more susceptible to other diseases. So, people with psoriasis, they also have the tendency or the possibility of having arthritis. That's a possibility. He had that. And the longer you have it, the more chances of it having is there. So therefore, do not make all these mistakes and delay your healing process. And at the same time, another thing is that you have to enjoy life. This, I'm quoting my doctor verbatim. After my first detox, I asked him, because my other friend, she had been consulting him longer, the one I met, I was telling you about, Choiti. And she told me that she had been asked to avoid fried food. Her psoriasis was like super, like she was, I want to say, 70%, 70 to 80% covered in scales when I met her. And that too after 3 detoxes. Yeah. So she was on a far stricter diet than me, for sure. And she was also very strict with it herself. So whatever the doctor would say, she would kind of also take it up a notch higher. And she told me that, you won't be having fried food. I was like, oh yeah, okay, fine, anyway, don't have it much, but I'll check. But sometimes I like to indulge. So anyway, I wanted to check for myself and check with the doctor. The first thing he said was, um, you also have to enjoy life. So um, that's what I'm saying to everyone, is that you also have to enjoy life. There's no point of having diets which make you miserable. And yes, I ask you to keep the diets for a long time. I always suggest my students to do the mental and the physical diet that I give them for 2 years. So I keep saying that, and I will say that. But um, raw diet is something that I wouldn't ask anyone to do, because you have to enjoy life. There are ways to you can heal yourself without having these kind of extreme diets. In fact, my diet, yes, it has restrictions, but then definitely better than raw diets, or something extreme that is not part of your everyday lifestyle, or having foods which are not local to your cuisine. You can make you can find alternatives to all these healthy dishes and all, for everything within your local area, whatever your local produces. That's always possible. Just yesterday, I was like, I like having these Navratan korma, which is vegetables. It's popular in North India. In vegetarian restaurants, you'll have that. Uh, Navratan korma, which is a bunch of winter vegetables cooked in, usually, I don't know, I've never cooked it, but it like some cashew paste or some thick paste. So I don't have any nuts like cashew or even yogurt. With which usually people make these kind of dishes, the heavy ones like creams and all. I don't have that. Then yesterday I was outside eating and was vegetarian. Yes, yesterday was Ekadashi, so I was eating and I was eating vegetarian food, which was something normally I wouldn't eat outside. Um, this is my policy. I'm sorry, vegetarians, but I don't believe in paying for vegetarian food. Please don't get offended. It's just a thing amongst Bengalis. So it had like, pretty thick gravy, and I was like eating it. I was like, how's it possible? Like, he told me there is no yogurt and no cashew nuts. How's it possible? Like, I was really doubting, and I was thinking like he probably misunderstood, I mean, the shopkeeper. Then I went to him and I asked him, like, he asked me actually, how's it? I said, yeah, it's nice. It's just a road tea stall. So, and not tea stall, roadside stall, but very famous one. So he said that no, there is no yogurt and there is no cashew paste, and he named something called chal mogoj, mogoj, which actually my maid had mentioned to me earlier. And then I told I told someone else that, that this they use chal mogoj. It's like, yeah, yeah, that's a very commonly used thing to make thick gravies. Which, you know what it is? It's watermelon seeds which are crushed, and then they give them pressure like it's some paneer or dahi or whatever, but it does the work of that, making it thicker. And think about it, it's not even like fattening like cream or anything. It's just seeds, fiber, so healthy. And that's something that is used in local cooking procedures, uh, or processes, to give that thickness. Because in North India they use creams and all those things, which, well, are fattening. And but this, you're having like a seed which is good for fiber. It's also gives that thickness. It's perfect. Like, you always have alternatives, because your ancestors were, like, before international trade and before vegetables from outside or new sauces and ketchups which stay inside fridges for several months. Before all that, we were still having tasty food. So you just have to go back a few years, few decades, ask around, go to your grandparents or older people, just find out the alternatives, be creative. If not, there's always internet. If not, there's me. Email me, I'll tell you. Because I do share, by the way, in my if you're on my email list, I do share recipes. Like, I take common recipes, the ones that I make actually, at home. Like, I really am a foodie. If you can't tell already, I'm a foodie. So I don't like missing out on my food, and that's why I don't want any of my students or people who work with me to miss out on their food too. You can always find alternatives. So yeah, I was talking about the recipes that I make, which use, the substances or ingredients that I would use, and and also avoids the ingredients that I would avoid, so that my skin is not affected. I share those once in a while. So if you're on my email list, do check them out. Yeah, I can share that with you. That is something, Regal. I do this 2 week diet guide that I did actually a few weeks ago. I opened it. I don't know if you saw that email, but I do that guide thing because in order for me to give you a diet, I need to also see where you are. Otherwise, it's just, like I said, it varies from person to person. The intensity, the exclusions, they vary from person to person. So I do that at this moment within that 2 week um, guide thing that I did, and that's not open for enrollment right now, but I will be opening my mental detox program for enrollment next year, so soon. If you're on the list, if you're on the wait list, you should be getting the details, because yeah, I mean, like, in January. So if you can like wait until then, that'll be great. Otherwise, you can do the 2 week guide, the diet guide, but it's not open at the moment. So yeah, if you're on the wait list, then you will get details about the full program. Yeah. So, and I have, I think, mentioned also some of the exclusions I have and all those things in some of my videos. So go back to those videos too. I'm sure you'll find the answer somewhere. Okay. So, but then, yeah, like I say, it's important to also like get my eyes on it, so that it's not it can be like customized. That's something I would recommend. But yeah, the answers, I have discussed all this in my videos. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. um yeah, speaking about like, so that's something, another, I think I should just rename this video four things, because the last one is a big one. All this intermittent fasting and dry fasting and all those things. I mean, honestly, yesterday was Ekadashi, right? I prefer dry fasting. I prefer water fasting, because the whole point of Ekadashi, I really enjoyed it. After first few months, I really started enjoying it, because I was not thinking about what is going to be my next meal, what is going to be my next meal, which is one thing that I really think about, because I'm a foodie. Like, a lot of my thoughts are occupied by what's my next meal. Um, so um, I actually miss dry fasting. I miss water fasting. I really really miss, like, I cannot tell you. I genuinely miss it, and I missed it so much yesterday, because the whole point of fasting is to uh, um, you know a, to give your body and digestion system a break, and also your mind a break, because like I said, like, a lot of our thoughts and activities are oriented around our food, cooking, planning, grocery shopping. Mine definitely is not with the cooking and the grocery shopping, but definitely with the planning and waiting, if that's an activity. So I spent so much of my day yesterday, because I don't have rice and I don't have moody, which is something that I eat at least once a day on most days. So nothing of like rice, smoothies made from rice, I cannot have. So, and my maid wasn't there yesterday. So usually she knows what to give me. I have millet or something, or I have like some millet dosa. But yesterday she wasn't there, which is unusual. But she wasn't there for some personal tragedy that she had, and I told my family that I will be eating only vegetarian, but they forgot about the rice part, so they made rice for lunch. And I was like, so I just had the vegetables and all. I was feeling hungry, and then I was having roti or bread throughout the day, because I didn't get what I normally eat. So I was having spending more time thinking about what I want to eat and what I have to eat, um, than other days, because other days it's like, okay, fish, rice, vegetables, meat, whatever. And so yeah, I do miss fasting. For this one reason is because that would be a complete break from thinking about what is it that I want to eat, or what is it that I can eat which will adhere to the rules. Because so often we used to eating rice, or me for example, puffed rice, that I have to think, oh no, this has puffed rice or this has onion. Again, something I eat a lot with puffed rice is onion, like jhalmuri, or something has garlic. Or if I can't, I don't usually eat outside, but if I eat like a jhalmuri outside, I have to be particular about the onion. So I was out yesterday for a large part of the day. So I spent more time thinking about what I can and cannot have. So okay. Any other questions, comments? What are your plans for holidays? Holiday, yeah, it went away. I mean, it's gone. For the year ending parties, what's going on? What are you eating? What are you watching? I'm noticing nowadays, while speaking at a stretch for my videos, I tend to get my like throat feels a little itchy and scratchy. Wait, you know what? I will put in the link. Like I mentioned, the program is going to be launched. The mental detox, the detox program, is going to be launched in January. So I'll throw in the link for the wait list for those of you who would like to get on the wait list. Hold on. Can you hear Adele singing in the background? Because I can. Okay. So I sent in my link, which will allow you to sign up and be notified for when the registration opens. I'm also planning to do a webinar where I'll be sharing a little about the 6 steps that I use in order for you to detox yourself from inside out. So, from your mind and then your body, because everything follows in the body from your mind. So, I have 6 steps which I will be teaching inside the program, and I'll give you a brief overview of that, all those steps, and basically all the things that the most common mistakes apart from these. Um, all that on a webinar. And so if you want to join, that should be in January. I don't know have the dates yet, but you'll get to know all those things once you sign up on this waitlist. So if you're watching this live or replay, you can always click this link and sign up, and you'll be getting the details. So I'm really excited, by the way. I launched this program in um, August in 2024, and then I wanted to take a break and then basically reflect on all the learnings, do other offer other products which I have. If you're on an email list, you see me offering products where you can get started on your health journey. And always like to keep things simple in the sense that it shouldn't feel like there's already a lot of information and overwhelm. And I understand how it felt for me when I was by myself trying to handle um, this condition when I was by myself abroad, or even if you're with your family. When you have a health condition, it's yours. um, you know Others could care about you and help you, but ultimately it's yours. So I understand that it can feel very lonely and isolating. I totally get it. And therefore I like things simple, and then through my own practice and through my own experience, I've been able to do that, because when you live through something and you do it, then it becomes simple. Then you are able to extract the actual things that make a difference, instead of it being like something that I have read, seen, or heard, and I'm just regurgitating that to you. So I like to keep things simple. Therefore, 6 steps, okay? And they're simple, actionable steps where I'm just not telling you a bunch of things like, you should be positive and you should be doing this. I use these steps for myself, for health, and for every other aspect of my life. Love and romance, career, money, relationships, um, experiences, traveling, creativity, and so on. And they actually work. I use it all the time. And sometimes I just take 1 or 2 steps and I just do 1 or 2 steps, but they're all effective. And that comes with experience of having done it for longer than 2 years now. It comes with experience of knowing that what is it that I need. But then, yeah, 6 steps, like I said, I'm going to be talking about them in details inside the program. So if you want to know more about that, get on that list. And I'll see you in the next one. I think it was a 1 hour live. My throat is scratchy. So thank you so much for those who joined in live, and if you're watching on replay, thank you for watching it too, if you've stayed around till the end. And as always, I really appreciate you, first of all, hanging out with me virtually, and also uh, hearing out what I have to say, even if it might trigger you, even if you don't like what I have to say. I appreciate you giving me an ear, and I appreciate you most importantly, like most importantly, and mostly for the fact that you have not given up on yourself. And that is a huge thing. The fact that you are on the internet looking for answers, staying up, whether it's for my live or somewhere, you're doing your research, you're trying, and you are even if you're getting angry, even if you're getting triggered, that means it's just like, an emotion, um, like it's a reaction, it's an emotion, and you have not given up. I mean, what I was trying to say, I was not able to formulate in my words so much, but what I'm trying to say is that if you are, um, I think someone from my program will be able to understand what I'm trying to say, but I'll try to explain it, because I myself, I'm not sure what I want to say. But what I'm trying to say is that if you are getting angry or triggered by anything that I'm saying, it's somewhere down the line, it's poking you, provoking you, and you care about it. Whether you agree with me or disagree with me, doesn't matter. Even if you're watching, I know there are some people who are like, of course, Mandela, we agree with you, or we see what you're saying. That's why we, like, are watching your videos, or we are on your email list, or we follow you. No, there are some people who might not agree with me all the time, even though they might have been my students, or whether they have worked with me or they've been following me for a while. They may not agree with everything that I say. That's fine. But even if it, agree to disagree, or even if you get angry or triggered by what I have to say, it means that, I mean, at least it's not, you're not numb to it, is what I'm saying. Like, I am thankful to the fact that you're not numb to the fact that you have a skin condition that you're dealing with, you or someone else you care about, and that you've not given up. That is what is important. And as long as you don't give up the fight, you're fine. You're good. Because it's a long fight. It's not an easy fight, and that I'm going to give you. And so I really appreciate you for not giving up, and being invested in your health. All right, thank you so much, and give this video a like. It helps the video with the algorithm and helps it reach more people. So thank you so much for staying till the end if you did, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.